Hey guys, it's Cynical Who here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to the 6th part in me and Max's Series 1 commentaries. It's been quite a long time since we've done one of these. Of course, it's only been a week for you, but we're back here today with a belter, and it's Dalek. And I'm very excited to watch this, because it's a very good episode. Well renowned in the fandom, one I really quite enjoy. Potentially my favourite of Series 1.
I'd say the same.
I don't know, I said that about The Unquite Dead a few weeks ago.
It's one of my favourite all-time episodes. But of course, I
definitely,
have quite
and
a
of
few
course,
episodes
it's written by Robert Sherman, who wrote my favourite Doctor Who story ever, which is Scherzo, which is a bit of an obscure piece of media, but if you can find it, pick it up and listen to it because it's very good.
Okay. Yeah, basically, we're excited for this.
Very, very excited.
I'm sure
for it. I don't
you're
think
excited sitting there at home or in your
self-isolating due to the dreaded coronavirus, and
by the time this goes out, who knows?
We'll all probably be dead, and anyway.
I got an email today from the school have sent out an email today on Thursday, the 12th of March, and we don't know yet if they're going to close all the schools, but I won't be surprised if they do it in a couple of weeks.
Well, we can only hope, but anyway, let's get ready to get straight into Dalek, Doctor Who, Series 1, Episode 6. Get your fingers on play buttons and ready to... press play in 3, 2... Oh, shit, what?
Make sure you have your copy of the Doctor Who Dalek handbook at your side. I've got mine on my side by Steve Tribe and James Goss.
God.
No, but it's a very good book. It's got very fascinating information about them.
Get your
this episode,
5-inch character options, Dalek mutant reveal figures at the ready, which I never got that one, which I'm a bit sad about, but yeah. Anyway, fingers on play buttons and get ready to press play in 3, 2, 1. There we go. Oh, blimey, that's a bit loud.
It's a way to start off, isn't it, with the iconic sound of the TARDIS materialising straight into the action, if I can speak properly. And that dialogue as well. We really are straight into the action, aren't we?
Oh, it's nice to be back with Christopher Eccleston. Because it's been a few weeks since we've done this, and it's just
and it's fascinating to
lovely.
See 2012 being talked about as the future. And of course,
like in Fear Her,
it's the distant past for me. The execution of 2012 is better here than in Fear Her because they don't focus on it so much.
I like this little bit. So you can see. Is that an Auton head? Maybe not. But there's like a Raxicorico Falapatorian arm.
Yeah, and apparently in the background,
a Cyberman head as well.
Oh, there was something in the background, but I can't remember.
Oh.
And of course,
a TARDIS.
What's fascinating about this, on the surface, it is just fan service and stuff, so that people can cheer. Oh yes, it's the Cyberman! Hooray!
Hey, from the invasion. Oh, actually, no, it's a Revenge of the Cyberman helmet because of the corrugated.
It means a lot more because of his line here: "The stuff of nightmares reduced to an exhibit," and that is the point of Dalek. The whole point is to show that the Daleks are anything but that, because that was the attitude at the time. This was only 8 years after we'd had the splendid parody that was the Gay Daleks. Look up the Gay Daleks on YouTube.
God, yeah.
You won't regret it, trust me. And the Kit Kat advert with the Daleks going, "We love you, peace to all Earthlings, give us a cuddle." Basically, they become a bit of a joke.
Yeah, so, and I think this story does act very well with...
We really needed an episode like this, where just one Dalek causes so much destruction.
Very threatening, and sets up the whole, further establishes the whole Time War plot thread that's revisited later in the series.
It's here we finally find out for sure what was going on.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying this was based on a Big Finish story that Robert Sherman had written called Jubilee?
Yeah, and that is all you're going to get because I haven't heard it either. So
I was going to ask what the differences and similarities between this and Jubilee are.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you, but... Robert Sherman's a name I would like to hear back.
Is the same.
Yeah, Robert Sherman's.
I bet that means something. Nah, it's probably nothing.
Probably. Robert Sherman's name is something I would like to see back in the titles again. Even though he says he wouldn't like to tarnish his reputation because Dalek was the last thing he wrote and it's gone down so well. But I think, at least for Big Finish, because he hasn't written for Big Finish since maybe, I think, a Minisode in like 2011, and before that 2005 or something, which is a shame because his Big Finish stuff is really good, as before mentioned, Scherzo and Chimes of Midnight, which is just stunning. And
I think he's worked on a Target novelisation of this book, hasn't he? That's being released on the 23rd of July. So
I couldn't confirm to be. Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing that as well.
I've just checked the date online. It's 23rd of July, so not quite.
Oh, okay. Oh God! Oh, it's Adam. Oh, I forgot about Adam. Oh no!
Wasn't there a comic strip where there was a comic strip made some years after this, where it turned out that Adam was the villain? He'd basically become like a new master.
Oh no!
That joke in Through the Window never gets old, by the way. And the jokes about wipe his memory and leave him someplace beginning with S.
I think it was M, actually, was it not?
Well, it's someplace beginning with S at the end.
Alright. I want to know what he's actually doing. Is he trying to saw into it there? Or?
Yeah, it's a drill, I think.
Alright. But yeah, what do you think of Adam as really. Bruno Langley as Adam? Yeah. Fucking a coffee machine!
Bit of a reference to a Chris Morris show that we've been watching at the moment.
Which will be, review will be out by now, won't it? So
yeah.
Go and watch that.
On my channel, Liam Mousewicks. But as we're at a quiet moment, I do like the music instrument here. I mean,
it's interesting.
It's such a throwaway moment, but it reveals so much about both the Doctor's character and Van Staffel's character. The way
hey, look, Max. Hey, look. It's a green jumper that he's wearing. It's green.
It's black.
It's green. Look, it's a
jacket
dark
is black.
green.
The shirt that he's wearing underneath is a dark army green.
I don't know why I bother with you anymore. Well, the shirt, as you're referring to underneath, is a jumper. It's a jumper.
I would like to move on and talk about a very interesting piece of trivia that I know with regards to this episode about the production.
Okay.
I'll just turn the volume down, otherwise this will be distracting. So obviously, in order to get the Daleks back, and there was a lot of the media were asking, oh, well, the Daleks going to be in it, and obviously the Daleks had to be in it. But in order for the Daleks to be in it, they had to negotiate with the estate of Terry Nation, and because they own the rights to the Daleks for obvious reasons. And the negotiations were going on, but they were very complicated and long-winded and protracted, and they needed a script, and it looked as though there was some uncertainty for a while as to whether or not they would be able to feature the Daleks in the first series, whether the negotiations would be ready in time. So Robert Sherman was basically told, in case of the worst case scenario, go away and write a draft of Dalek that doesn't contain a Dalek. I've got the Dalek handbook here that explains more about this, and Robert Sherman explains that it was tricky because, and I quote, "My story is all about introducing an icon. It's all about declaring that the Dalek is big and important and familiar. Most of the dramatic moments in the episode come precisely out of those statements. It's not the way you'd characterise a new monster from scratch. It wouldn't make any sense. So the new script couldn't afford to trade off Doctor Who lore. It had to build up the danger around this monster better." I'm going to carry on reading from the handbook. So Sherman continues, Russell T Davies came up with this idea of a killer sphere. Sound familiar? And that,
Cocklefane?
Yeah, exactly. It would transpire in some later story that the spheres were the far distant future evolution of the human race.
Oh, there we go.
Russell had the idea in reserve for some future series. He's very clever, Russell. I never knew how far he had Doctor Who mapped out in advance, but I suspect he'd at least vague notions for right up until the end of Tennant's Doctor. These spheres, as yet unnamed, would have been the opponents in the Time War, and the Doctor would never have known what they were. This would have provided a greater mystery for him to solve later in the series, and a greater emotional angst too. Why did these strangers destroy his race? Russell suggested I make my sphere mute, but I found it far too hard to sustain an entire story without it talking. I made its relationship with Rose very different. The sphere was a giggling child psychopath who delighted in sadism for its own sake. I think the script was a lot funnier, but far less moving. I prefer the one we ended up with. So just imagine the Toclafane would have been the main villains in the Time War.
That is interesting. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah,
but
it's
interesting.
fitting that it's the Daleks, and of course we have the big moment, which is probably the best Dalek reveal that has ever happened. And of course they gave it away in the fucking trailers.
Yeah, that is annoying. I suppose they've got to get the viewing figures up, but of course
they were a lot less secretive in those days because we had seen the TARDIS and the theme tune way in advance.
But I love Christopher Eccleston. This is probably his best
his
performance.
Acting in the scene is excellent, and it's a side to the Doctor we've never seen before or since.
Yeah, and
only Eccleston can pull it off.
Definitely, I couldn't imagine any other Doctor doing this.
Even
I don't think.
Capaldi.
Yeah.
But it's just. It's not just the writing, but the direction and the camera movements. And
even in I was watching Into the Dalek recently. I was rewatching it on iPlayer, but the Doctor, when he sees the Dalek, Rusty there, he just sort of goes, "Oh, okay,"
yeah,
and compare it to this.
Yeah, and they repeat the "You are a good Dalek" thing, and it's not quite as effective. Awesome. It feels like a deliberate homage to. I don't know.
What do you think of the 2005 Dalek design, by the way?
Oh yeah, I think the design is excellent. I think the only two things I'd say about it, I mean, they make the Daleks look tough and army-like, and that's something they talk about in the Dalek handbook. They were very keen that it looked like a tank as opposed to something that was cobbled together in the prop store. I think I prefer the gunmetal...
Reconnaissance Dalek.
Yeah.
I know that's supposed to look like it, but you know.
I prefer the Daleks to look black or gunmetal grey, like a Dalek Sec thing. The gold colour design looks a little weird now. I remember the tabloids leaking pictures of the Daleks saying all the Daleks gone bling and...
Well, I mean, there was a gold Dalek in
Daleks.
Day of the Daleks. There was a gold Dalek, but sure.
But I prefer like black or gunmetal grey colour.
Yeah,
but,
Genesis type. Destiny,
but
I
do think these Daleks work really well. The only thing is they kind of relied on them for a bit too long. As I
mentioned that's what
in
I was
going to say. 5 video, the Dalek paradigm, the colour was the only thing that needed changing. I wouldn't have minded if they stuck with those Daleks.
Yeah, I think the paradigms aren't fantastic. They do, again, of course, Teletubby Daleks, Jelly Baby Daleks, Dalek Power Rangers. Stay what you want, but
all they would have needed was a simple repaint. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the Daleks, because there's a new Dalek apparently in Revolution of the Daleks. And have you
not seen the pictures yet?
I have seen the pictures, but they're very low res, and I'll have to wait till I actually see the special. But I don't know if it's going to be like a one-off kind, like Supreme Dalek or something like that. But if it's what the Daleks look like from now on, I wouldn't mind it. Obviously, their basic design has been altered quite a bit, but it is at least black, and it looks impending and intimidating. So that's
and I think you are right. They have relied upon the Daleks for most of the time, and I think it's just a shame that due to all the backlash they faced with the paradigms, they just hid them away and thought, "Oh God, we'll never do that again." Sorry,
go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say I quite like the white paradigm Dalek. Actually, I think that's the nice. I think if they were all white, said
and
Nigel
the red
Farage.
Daleks didn't look too bad, but that moment where he electrocutes the Dalek is quite, you're not quite sure what to feel. Whether to feel joy because it's a Dalek or because it's the Doctor electrocuting a living being. Which I quite like that.
I love how we were just talking about the paradigms over that fantastic scene.
God, this is dark. But, well, everything's been said about it in the past. That's probably the classic scene for so many people. And there's we don't really need to say anything about it. It is excellent. Enough said. I mean, going back to the deal that they did with the Terry Nation estate, obviously they managed to get it in time for Series 1. But one of the deal's never been explained in public by the BBC, but one of the rumours was that the conditions of including the Daleks was they had to include them in every single series they shot. I mean, that certainly corroborates with what they've seen. I'm of the opinion the more you use the Daleks, the less effective they become. Up agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and I mean, it's interesting to see definitely in Doomsday when they come up against the Cyberman, which is probably like every fan's dream. But
obviously the Daleks are iconic villains, but they're actually very hard to write because, as many people have said, Dalek dialogue is quite restrictive, and there's only so many. They would normally just invade a planet. There's only so many times you can write that kind of story.
I have no idea whether my Dalek figure adventure is going to be out by this point, but we'll have to see. You can hear Max's fantastic Dalek voicing there.
Thank you very much.
But yeah, as you were saying, Dalek lines where it was very easy to go off and write sort of things you'd be able, like, very easily to hear like the Master say, and then you go think, oh, these are Daleks. You know, they will be restricted in some sorts of ways, but.
But it's very. I like what they do with the dialogue here. They try to go past that, but it still sounds Dalek-y.
Yeah. Also, I was going to mention, what do you think of Bruno Langley as?
I think he's very good.
I've just had a total mind blank. What's his name? Adam. Adam. There we go. Yeah. I mean, he's good, but what do you think about Adam as the character himself?
I think he's all right.
He is a bit annoying, and
he's kind of tacked on to this story, but he comes into his own in the long game.
Yeah.
But the whole point of him is to show that the Doctor is selective in his companions.
Yeah. He was a bit of a sort of loose thread, which they sort of introduced and then realised, and then got rid of him like straight away.
Yeah.
Which is, I think it's nice to have sort of one-off companion, or two-off, I guess, in this situation. But I think it's nice to have a sort of one-off companion.
It's never been done before, so I'm all for those, as long as they go, of course.
Well, you can't tell unless you try it, But also Henry Van Statten as well. I don't know the guy who plays him, but he has a terrible hairline. But
he's intended as a pastiche of Bill Gates, of course.
Oh right.
This line here about a genius, the little allusion to Davros.
Oh yeah.
And the pacing as well. I mean, we see it's only like 6 minutes, and we already see Dalek, like 6 or 7 minutes, and we have, these very tense scenes, and then that slow scene with Rose and Adam that's purely about their characters. Building bridges with each other, bonding, canoodling and spooning.
Well,
apparently that was quite
controversial.
The sexual references. And you survived, not by choice. Oh yeah, this received some controversy before the broadcast. The fact that the Doctor is stripped down and tortured like this. Sadomasochist, I think, is the word that they use to describe this.
Eccleston nipples.
Again, we've never had a scene in Doctor Who before or since. This is one of the darkest torture scenes we've had. I mean, it is just someone pointing a laser.
Well, at least he doesn't do a Jodie Whittaker and somehow flip his Sonic out of his pocket into his hands.
Oh god, that scene in Can You Hear Me? I'm not sure what pissed me off more, her dismissal of Graham, because that's what it seems like to me. I don't get the defences, I'm sorry, it still feels wrong to me, that scene there. I don't know whether that pissed me off more than the bit where she's stuck in her nightmare, and she just literally wakes up. Just oh god.
I love how we managed to turn every video into a moaning about the Chibnall era.
Well, you
video.
started it this time.
Yeah, okay. I think I've counted, and we've done 14 Chibnall orientated videos. But I mean, at this point of recording, that's including all the reviews.
The
character
of Van Statten is so well developed here. Like the bit about the common cold. I mean, you could say you don't really need that. That's a bit beside the point, but it isn't. It just reveals a lot about his Machiavellian businessman character.
Machiavellian.
Notice that the laser looks a bit like Dalek High School.
Yeah, I saw that as well. I don't know whether that's...
Which is fascinating. I don't know whether that's deliberate or not, but it's a nice coincidence, even so. Yeah. F off. I just want to say quickly, what do you make of Nicholas Briggs as the voice of the Dalek? I'm of the personal opinion that he is the best voice actor the Daleks have ever been blessed with.
I think so. I mean, once you get to listen...
his voice combines the best of all the previous voice actors, but it has a sort of energy and bass to it. It has a gravitas.
I think Terry Malloy does a fantastic Davros, but I think... overall, he's probably the best Dalek voice. I mean, when you get somewhere like you listening to a lot of Big Finish, then Nicholas Briggs is just everywhere. He's doing. I mean, even in TV, he's doing the Cybermen, he's doing the Daleks, he's doing all these other random voices. He's playing random characters. Even in there's a story called Minuet in Hell. He plays one of the main characters. Sounds good. And well, it's quite fun actually. Quite expensive now if you can find it, but I got mine signed by Nicholas Courtney, even though I never met him. I found it on eBay for 12 quid. But yeah, I can't remember what set, but yeah, Nick Briggs is sort of everywhere, and then you get to something like Children of Earth, and he's one of the politicians, and it's like, hang on, what the hell is he doing here? And it's a bit weird, but I should probably
it's
rewatch
like,
Children of Earth.
I remember a magazine saying hours of him voicing Daleks must have probably had its effect on him because he plays quite a ugly politician. So I'm just going to resort back to the Dalek handbook here. Nicholas Briggs talking about voicing the Daleks in this episode. My main Dalek voice, the starting point, is heavily influenced by Peter Hawkins, the first voice actor. He was brilliant. I also throw in a bit of Roy Skelton for good measure. Those guys were fabulous. When Dalek began recording in October 2004, Nick Briggs was chosen to give voice to the Metaltron. He was present at the script read-through and throughout filming, his lines being heard by the actors on set, complete with ring-modulated electronic distortion. I watched the action on a monitor, he says, and then I just screamed like mad, basically. The first time the cast heard me speaking as Dalek was at the read-through. I'm going to pause and say I love the fact they actually rationalised the sink plunger and make it...
Yeah.
Carrying on with the handbook, the first thing I had to do was gut-wrenching scream. Chris Eccleston tried to carry on and then he stopped. He had no idea I was going to have a ring modulator there and he just pointed at it. A few lines later I had my very first exterminate. Chris went yes and everyone else gave me a huge cheer. The single prisoner in Dalek had a lot of very soft plaintive material and the trick was to push the envelope and make the Dalek genuinely pathetic, but also never lose sight of the fact that it was a Dalek. RTD and director Joe Ahern were, I think, worried that it would just be ludicrous if it was too staccato. Russell phoned me the night before the big scene with Chris to tell me not to worry about sounding like a classic Dalek. Joe Ahern kept asking me to do it quieter and slower. That pushing from both of them really helped and I think we came up with something rather special. I think so too. Something I noticed while researching this episode a few moments ago, before we started recording, that I find very interesting. That if you go on TARDIS Data Call website, there is actually an article on the number 1,000 billion, and it's a stub. So, 1,000 billion was a number. The Night Doctor claimed that a Dalek could calculate 1,000 billion lock combinations in a single second. So,
right.
That's good to know, isn't it?
I actually found I was on TARDIS fandom earlier and I found a whole page about kissing. Isn't that fantastic? And sex, but that's an odd thing. Nothing that Doctor Who fans should ever go near.
What you get up to your own private business, that's fine.
But yeah, I can't remember what we're saying. But
now,
what do you think about the Imperial Daleks voicing, by the way?
What, in remembrance of the Daleks? Oh,
yeah.
Revelation of the Daleks is the only thing that lets the side down. I can see what they were thinking. The Daleks are human, so let's make them sound more human. But it was just ludicrous because they
no.
And it's like I've seen.
I'll tell you what, I should just add ring modulation to our voices throughout the whole commentary.
No, it's like Christopher Eccleston. No, sorry, Clever Dick Films said in his review of the Sixth Doctor era. They sound a bit too much like that other character Roy Skelton voiced, which was Zippy from Rainbow.
Oh god, yeah.
Oh, that negative effect is. Now, something I do like here that we get in the first series, and we wouldn't see it again for years, is the fact the midsection rotates.
Also, hang on, am I just stupid? Hang on, how come the Dalek can stop bullets?
It has a force field.
Well, fuck.
And
it's basically
and it's made
like
of very tough materials like polycarbide and Dalekanium.
And we see that again in when the Daleks attack Torchwood in what's it called? The Stolen Earth. It's Journey's End. The cliffhanger resolves, and then
Yeah.
But God knows how it got down all those stairs and things.
I always remember the audio description at this point. Van Statten looks up in horror. I don't know what he's looking at, and he's not the sort of character that would be horrified, but I don't know. He's horrified later on. Midsection.
Well, he's probably looking at the cam, the CCTV. Oh, I don't know.
You get just in this little scene, you get a lot of tension because the old-fashioned scenario of the Dalek between them and the weapons.
Nice sort of base under siege.
And of course, Van Statten is coming up with the logical solutions, but of course they're far too logical. And he's really driven and he really wants to. Oh, we're only halfway through and already we get a crucial scene. And this was something that was really hyped up in the publicity. Oh, you'll believe a Dalek can fly. And Chris Eccleston was asked about it in the big interview of BBC Breakfast before Rose went out. About, we've heard that the Daleks have got a new way of conquering stairs, and that was the old joke. And they were like, we're not going to tell you what happens. And of course, Remembrance of the Daleks had done this years before. But of course, it's somewhat dated now. Whereas this, I think, is a better execution. It hasn't dated at all. And I just love the fact the Dalek just sits there listening. It really works when the Dalek does that. It feels really weird and unsettling. And then we see it, the first time we see it flying, we see it from the creature's point of view.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird, of course, it's like a sort of not quite plot hole, but if the Daleks are supposed to be the most supreme beings in the universe, as they always claim, why can't they, like, there's those scenes where they fly around really fast, why can't Daleks be faster? I mean, they don't need to be faster, but
I think in this
point,
the Dalek is going slowly.
It's just taking the piss.
It's psychologically more unsettling if it comes towards you slowly. It's like a slow death.
Mm.
Oh
dear.
That's a lovely shot of them running along the corridor. Notice how we haven't laughed so much. I mean, every episode there were like the gags were thick and fast, or you know, something like that. And I haven't really laughed. This is quite a heavy episode. Quite appropriate, given it's supposed to be the ultimate in racial cleansing, the ultimate killing machine.
Nice soundtrack. I usually forget about this piece, but
I'm thinking I might actually pick up Murray Gold's first soundtrack album of Doctor Who.
I love that bit there. The sort of that little motif. But
Is this the guy there looking worried as well? Is this the first time we hear? Actually, we hear in Remembrance of the Daleks that the eyepiece is the weak spot, don't we? But
I don't know. At what point
Sylvester McCoy shouts out during the gunfight near the start, "Aim for the eyepiece!" I'm not trying to do an accent now. I'm just.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, because they are the Dalek.
Wow.
What would you say your favourite Dalek design is, just out of curiosity?
I don't know. I obviously feel a sense of nostalgia towards this design. I forgot to say I like the fact the eye is like a blue light.
Yeah.
And it feels more modern and sci-fi that way.
Yeah.
But I just think I don't really have a favourite Dalek design. I do think the paradigm is underrated, despite the problems that they did have.
I think there's something
they could have been refined and they could have worked.
I think something quite funny about the paradigms is I'm quite a fan of the Eighth Doctor graphic novels, as I'm sure you'll know. But there's a comic strip called Children of the Revolution.
Yeah.
And the Daleks in that are all sort of multicoloured. And, there's Dalek Alpha, Dalek Beta, and Omega, and whatever, and, you know. And you have Dalek Alpha's bright red. There's an action figure of Dalek Alpha, actually. Yeah. And Omega is gold, I think, and there's a few purple ones, and all the drone Daleks are gold, but they're in the sort of the classic design, and it looks quite nice because there's blue ones and green ones. It's interesting to see, but of course with the
Van Statten has a painting of himself on the wall.
Yeah, I saw that. It's quite funny.
Businessman and vanity, and what I love about it is that it's left in the background for you to notice. They don't draw too much attention to it, because if they did, it wouldn't. That's a lovely shot there as we swivel around behind. The garden. On the I
like the underneath of the Dalek as well. That's quite cool.
Yeah. But we certainly get something we never saw before, the sort of cunning genius of the Dalek. Instead of, it decides to exterminate them all at once, kill 1,000 birds with one stone by just...
Oh, wow.
setting off a fire alarm and shooting the ground.
Electrifying the water. Fantastic.
Oh, and these people here watching what's happening.
Oh dear. Wow. I mean, it could have done. It would have been nice to see the thing we get in Remembrance of the Daleks, the total extermination. I think we see that in Journey's End, don't we?
Maximum extermination.
Yeah, that's quite cool.
I love the fact it doesn't speak. It speaks with its blaster. Chris's face.
I think it.
He is just like Jack Robertson in Arachnids in the UK, but much better
Yeah, and not.
execution. 'Cause he's not
Definitely.
in your face.
And it's not like, haha, Trump funny, laugh at this man because he's
Well, yeah.
racist.
And it doesn't really add anything to the plot. Well, he's the main reason the spiders are growing, but it doesn't add to your enjoyment, whereas this feels like it adds to the story more, weirdly.
I don't understand, how did it take her up her DNA?
I think it's explained in Doomsday. They use background radiation as a power supply, and it's the sort of radiation that time travelers get on them by travelling through the vortex.
Oh, Artron energy.
So because she was a time traveller,
Oh, right.
she had the
Just
background
imagine if
radiation that the Dalek feeds on.
Right. Interesting.
It's interesting there's no music here, and nowadays it's not just a trend in Doctor Who. I've seen people complain about this with TV in general. There's
music now, but
music is not used sparingly anymore, and it's something that I noticed watching Inspector Morse, which is very good. How rarely they use music, and there's so many scenes that don't have music, and then when they do use music, it really works and adds to the.
this is
Again,
great,
the Doctor
especially out of context. I love this
Yeah.
scene.
The Doctor
Hang
has
on.
never been like this before or since, but this is how much the Daleks appall him, and how much he's wrecked by the Time War and the death of his people.
Love that.
Yeah, and this line here, and the pause. Oh, and that's what this is about at the end. The sort of dilemma.
Oh, the
Something
nostalgia.
has killed your people, and you hate
Yeah.
it. But of course,
Wow, this episode
that
is very
hate
good, isn't
is
it?
the problem with the Dalek as well. You know, if
Oh man,
if you
I
let
don't
that
know.
hate
This
consume you become the Dalek.
this is why Series 1 is so good. This is why the early RTD era
Character.
is fucking
Yeah.
superb. Like, wow.
And they actually make scenes running down corridors, tense, and I think I can't think of anyone else after it. When Chris Chibnall steps down as showrunner, there's probably going to be no one, because apparently no one wants to take on the role of showrunner, and I think Robert Shearman is the only person who's qualified. Despite the fact he's only written one episode of TV, but I do think I want to see what he would do with it.
I don't think he'd be apt for showrunner, but I think at least one story would be interesting to see what he would bring to the table after
I'm
15
thinking
years.
either him or Toby Whithouse, but apparently Toby Whithouse refused.
Oh, right.
But Whithouse's track record is similar to Chibnall's, I think, actually. Bit of a mixed bag.
Obligatory coronavirus joke. This is everyone going into lockdown. Haha, it's funny.
I mean, it's funny in March, but will it be
When
funny
we're
this
all-
time next month when we're all in lockdown and quarantined? And
Whenever this episode goes out, yeah.
I mean, we're young, so we're not at risk. So yeah, I suppose it is funny.
Haha, old people, get
I
fucked.
love how you have this moment of not being sure and the tension there. Did she get through? Did she not?
Oh, shit.
Oh.
See, the Dalek's a bit faster there, isn't it?
I mean, I wonder if people watching on the first transmission were genuinely thinking, "Oh my god, are they genuinely going to kill her off?"
It would have been good if
halfway
she
through
died
the
here.
series.
I mean, in
It would
the
have
least
been
morbid
really,
way.
It would have pulled the rug out.
That would have been good.
But the thing is, you really, at this point, you really feel for Rose. Because her
And it,
character was so well developed in 6 episodes. Oh. But of course, Staten is a well-rounded character. He does feel something. You can see it in his face.
Yeah. I love this moment as well.
Because
This is
Jack Roberts.
Shut up now. This is
Sorry.
Christopher Eccleston's best moment. We need to admire this. I love this line about a second. This moment right now. Oh, that is fantastic.
Roasted. And
Yeah,
he realises what he said.
Yeah, get on with what you were saying.
I can't remember what I was saying.
Alright, sorry. But at least it was... Are you eating chocolate?
No.
Why are you eating chocolate then? You're eating something... Oh, okay, so this doesn't make sense. They heard... The Dalek said exterminate and there was a laser sound, so why...
Yeah, that's what I think. I think the Dalek missed. It didn't intend to, but it missed. I mean, you'll see here... Oh, in a minute, it tries to shoot her, but misses. I was going to say, Jack Robertson in Arachnids in the UK, he doesn't learn from his mistakes. He just walks off at the end. And of course, Van Statten, you feel that he's learning.
Yeah.
That is a well-rounded character. See, the Dalek misses here. You know, it's the same with Caves of Androzani. You're occasionally tempted to sympathise with these characters, despite the fact they are not heroes or good characters. I love the fact the eye seems to widen just by increasing the brightness. Nice attention to detail there. And they actually tried to get the lights in time this time. So
it would have been interesting if the Dalek had actually killed Rose and that spurred the Doctor on to go ahead and actually kill the Dalek.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been interesting.
Bit of a weird line, but of course it's very pressing because of course that is what happened by the end of series 2. It was a love affair, possibly.
I don't like that. Okay, if he could open it that easily, why did he not do it earlier?
What?
If he could open the doors that easily...
So, this is a brilliant episode by Robert Shearman, and you are reading too much into it.
But
just try and enjoy this one for once, instead of trying to pick holes in it.
This is Cynical Who, though. That's what we do.
Oh, yeah.
Do you not remember my Idiot's Lantern review? Uncharitable bastard. But I got chips, though.
Please stop trying to make that into a viral sensation. Give it up.
No, it's my brand. I live by it.
Now this was amusing to me because the gun looks a lot like the sort of harpoon guns in Lego, you know, where you sort of flick the switch at the back and it shoots out.
Yeah.
Oh, torpedoes, actually. We've never had a moment like that before where she has to duck out the way of the eye stalk.
It's quite funny.
Such a great job with the voices. Oh. He's terrified. Would have been nice if that was a continuous shot of it swiveling to and fro, but hey ho.
Well, it might have looked a bit strange, totally, but...
Now, of course, we have the pivotal moment. Well, it's not actually the first time we see the inside of a mutant, but I think
no, of course
had that
not.
in the Five Doctors and Resurrection of the Daleks.
Oh, in that bit in Destiny of the Daleks where the Doctor picks up some slime and he's like, oh, a Dalek mutant, and he slaps it and he does this weird sound effect, which is a bit disgusting.
Yeah, but it's this is a big moment here because it actually speaks and we actually see it, because there was, even when it was seen, it was kind of disguised or hard to make out, and there was still an element of mystery around it. It's like you run the risk of, if you show the inside, perhaps you run the risk of taking away from the mystery, and that could be a detriment. But I feel here it's very well executed, and it reminds you sort of the horror of a Dalek that is quite grotesque. Yeah. And it's like they say in Doomsday, Dad explains your voice, no wonder you scream to be locked in that cage completely alone. There's an underlying paranoia within the Daleks.
Yeah. I mean, the design is cool. I do like it. And I do like that's a bit phallic. That's a bit gross.
Oh, and it's blue, which is different. When we see it later on, it will be a sort of beige or green colour.
Although in Evolution of the Daleks, it's blue slightly, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's blue in Evolution of the Daleks, isn't it?
No, it's green. And then when we see Dalek Khan in Stolen Earth, it's a kind of pinky beige colour with a yellow eye.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe there are different kinds of mutant in different colours, but then
I suppose, yeah,
they're only interested in one kind of thing. So I think it's easy to explain that they're just off colour
and I mean, they used to be very green in the classic series, didn't they?
Or maybe they just decided the colour didn't work and let's try another one just for the hell of it and see what it looks like.
Or it could just be the light shining through.
Oh, just this moment here with Eccleston.
I love it. And I love how this is sort of, as you said, the pivotal really moment in Series 1 as a whole where Rose changes the Doctor for the better.
Yeah.
I think.
And this is the turning point here. And it is literally the middle of the series. Well, not quite the middle of the series, but this was deliberately supposed to be in the middle of the series as kind of tentpole to get people watching.
Yeah.
This is why it's called Dalek. The only negative review I've seen, the only negative point on Wikipedia from the critics was that the title wasn't surprising. Would it really have made it better if the title was surprising? But
I mean, it could have been called. It would be interesting if it was called Van Statten's Monster or something like that.
No, but it wouldn't have got the punters in.
No, of course not.
But I love this.
Do you like the voice here of the Dalek?
Oh, yeah. Again, Nick Briggs is brilliant. The subtlety and earlier on, I mean, to hear it live as well, it really is something. There's kind of guttural presence to it. But of course, I love this plot twist here where you actually feel sympathy for the Dalek, and it's like it's been turned into something new and something that could be potentially exciting because it's had human DNA. But like the Ninth Doctor says, it's not better for a Dalek. The Dalek would rather die than have human DNA or emotion or empathy.
It hates itself.
It would remind it of the fact that it's just a mutant in a shell and it is grotesque, deformed wretch like something out of Frankenstein.
This is fucking fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, no, especially the moment where it just shouts obey.
This is brilliant.
If you don't order me to die, what will the Dalek do if Rose says I can't do it? But
just live forever hating itself. Yeah.
And this is... I'm just going to read some... Obviously, we get a bit of light humour in a minute, but I've just got a quote here from David Foster Wallace's book Infinite Jest, which might be relevant here. And it talks about why people commit suicide. Oh,
God.
The so-called psychotically depressed person who tries to kill herself doesn't do so out of, quote, hopelessness or any abstract conviction that life's assets and debits do not square. And surely not because death seems suddenly appealing. The person in whom its invisible agony reaches a certain unendurable level will kill herself the same way a trapped person will eventually jump from the window of a burning high-rise. Make no mistake about people who leap from burning windows. Their terror of falling from a great height is still just as great as it would be for you or me, standing speculatively at the same window just checking out the view, i.e. the fear of falling remains a constant. The variable here is the other terror, the fire's flames. When the flames get close enough, falling to death becomes the slightly less terrible of two terrors. It's not desiring the fall, it's terror of the flames, and yet nobody down on the sidewalk, looking up and yelling "don't" and "hang on," can understand the jump. Not really. You'd have to have personally been trapped and felt flames to really understand a terror way beyond falling. I personally remembered that, and I thought that was quite fascinating. You learn something new every day. Something interesting.
That was fucking morbid, Jesus.
Sorry, I think it's interesting.
This is Doctor Who. You don't have to be so introspective.
But this episode is morbid.
Yeah,
it's torture and suicide and But I love it. The Doctor sort of accepts the fact his race is dead, and the Time Lords survive in my head, and that's really what this episode is about: the Time War and sort of confronting the Time War, and as opposed to sort of running away from it like he has been doing for the last 5 weeks.
And here we set up the next episode, the long game.
The sense of wonder. What are you doing inside the box? Oh,
weird how it takes off before.
With the alien musical instrument earlier on, the melody played, though not exactly duplicated, is reminiscent of one playing during the 3rd episode of the Daleks and Files' first appearances. I think that's probably a coincidence, knowing the TARDIS data core and the sort of continuity things. And this is the first story not to feature Davros. Like, that's really important. And the only story, the only Dalek story in the ITD era, to not be a 2-parter. But yeah, this episode is sort of one of the more underrated ones, I feel, coming up next.
Yeah, which we'll get to next week for you guys.
I watched it, having not seen it for ages, and ended up liking it a lot.
Yeah, it's quite an underrated piece, but that was Dalek, and that was, I'd say, probably a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, definitely. One of the best. And the Dalek Handbook, which I've been reading, you can get it for cheap on eBay and Amazon. There's some interesting stuff. Robert Sherman writes about bringing back the Daleks in more detail, some bits I haven't read, and some interesting tidbits about the whole history of the Daleks up until 2011 when the book came out, so of the Daleks themselves and also behind the scenes.
Makes me question why, looking at my list, I put it at number... Bloody hell, I put it at number 7 in my top 10 new series. I put Dalek behind Aliens of London. What was I thinking?
More importantly, what the hell were you thinking putting it behind Love and Monsters? Why is Love and Monsters...
Love and Monsters is good, okay. Love and Monsters is good, okay.
I admit I haven't seen it for a while, but I think the only reason that it has become popular... If
this video gets one...
Because very self-introspective, and it's just something for the fandom to wank over.
Well, not just that, but it is good in itself. And if this video gets 1 like, we will do a commentary on Love and Monsters. There we go.
Fine.
It's happening. It's happening.
The things you do for fame and...
There we go.
But yeah, basically, I liked it. And again, the pacing was really good. Sort of...
Bloody hell, yeah.
Just behind the Flash.
Yeah. And just a phenomenal episode. Robert Sherman,
it's flown by. And it's actually something I realised, having watched the last 5 episodes, we were laughing so much. Well, they weren't outright comedies, but there were a lot of gags, and there were less gags in this, I feel. It's a darker episode, certainly.
What do you think a Dalek... What do you think a Dalek mutant would taste like? Like a bit prawny, like a bit like fishy.
Have you been out at all today?
No, I actually haven't. I haven't been out of the house.
Yeah, because it's an inset day, isn't it? I think you need to go and take a walk quickly.
Well, I think I'm just hungry, but I think a Dalek might taste interesting.
I mean, I can't judge. I think
that's probably a good place to wrap up the video. You know, next time let's join us to see what the mighty Jagrafest. Next time, join us to see what the mighty Jagrafest will taste like. Probably poo and sick. But yeah,
would you even manage a mighty Jagrafest?
In bits, like if you have a little bit at night. Imagine being the Jagrafest. Everyone.
It would probably take you a week.
Imagine being the Jagrafest. It would stink because everyone would fart and it would like rise to the top, and you'd just be like swallowing their farts constantly.
Honestly, who let you in?
Anyway, join us next week for the long game where we discuss Jagrafest farts and sick as per usual.
Lovely. Hope you enjoyed this commentary. Please like and share and
make sure to check out our other Series 1 commentaries and whatnot. Yeah, follow us on Twitter, follow us on the street, and stalk us home and stab us. No, don't do that. That's probably a bad thing.
It's all right. We haven't given away our addresses, so no one will know that I live in. You might have to bleep that bit, actually. Please do.
Okay. 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 Well, anyway, I will leave you with that. Make sure to check out our other reviews. Make sure to join us back here next week for what's it called? The long game. Yeah. Anyway. Okay. Okay. We'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.